The message from my wife Alyssa arrived the next morning at 9:17 a.m. I was sitting at the kitchen table, staring at my phone, wondering why she hadn't answered any of my messages from the night before. She had told me she was staying late with co-workers after dinner, and I didn't think much of it at first. Alyssa had always been independent, and I trusted her. But as the hours passed, my messages stayed unread, and something about the silence bothered me. Then her text finally appeared, "My phone died last night, just saw your messages." Under normal circumstances, I would have simply believed her. But there was one problem. Earlier that morning, I had received a message from someone I never expected to hear from. A mutual friend had accidentally sent me a photo from a gathering, and in the background, I noticed something that made my stomach drop. Alyssa's phone was clearly visible on a nightstand. It was connected to a charger. I looked at her message again and slowly typed my reply. Strange. It was plugged in on Jake's nightstand. Within seconds, the typing bubble appeared. Then it disappeared. No explanation. No reply. Just silence. For a few moments, I wondered if I had misunderstood what I saw. I wanted there to be another explanation because believing something painful about the person you love is never easy. Alyssa and I had been married for 6 years, and I never wanted to become someone who searched for reasons to doubt her. But recently, small things had started adding up. She became more protective of her phone, changed passwords without mentioning it, and seemed irritated whenever I asked simple questions about her plans. Every time I brought up my concerns, she told me I was being paranoid. I tried to convince myself that I was just overthinking. But that photo changed everything. The phone on Jake's nightstand wasn't just a random detail. It was a contradiction. And contradictions create questions. I wasn't interested in accusing Alyssa without knowing the truth. I didn't want a fight. I wanted honesty. That was why I sent the message calmly. I wanted to see whether she would explain the situation or whether she would continue hiding behind another excuse. About 10 minutes later, my phone rang. I expected Alyssa's name to appear on the screen, but it wasn't her. It was Jake. For a moment, I just stared at the phone. Jake had been one of my closest friends for years. We had shared birthdays, vacations, and countless memories together. Seeing his name appear made the situation feel even worse. I answered and simply said, "Hello?" There was a long pause. Finally, Jake spoke quietly. "You know about the phone?" That question alone told me he knew exactly what I was talking about. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't insult him. I just asked, "Why was my wife's phone at your place?" Jake struggled to answer. He tried explaining that things weren't what they looked like and that there was a misunderstanding. But every explanation created more questions. I listened carefully because I realized something important. When people are telling the truth, they usually don't need to search so hard for words. The hesitation said more than the excuses. When Alyssa finally called me, her voice sounded completely different from the confident message she had sent earlier. She wasn't angry anymore. She sounded nervous. She immediately asked what Jake had told me. I replied, "Before we talk about what Jake said, I want to know what you were going to tell me." The silence on the other end felt longer than it actually was. Alyssa started explaining that she had gone to Jake's place with other friends and that nothing happened. She said her phone being there didn't mean anything. But the problem wasn't only the phone. It was the lie about it being dead. It was the fact that she chose an excuse instead of telling me where she was. I told her, a phone being charged isn't the issue. Trust is. For the first time, she realized that the problem wasn't just one night or one person. It was the feeling that I had been slowly pushed outside my own marriage while secrets were being kept from me. Alyssa came home that evening, and for the first time, she didn't walk through the door with confidence. She looked nervous because she knew the conversation waiting for her wasn't going to be easy. She sat across from me at the kitchen table, and I asked one simple question. "If I never noticed the phone in that photo, would you have ever told me the truth?" She looked down and didn't answer. That silence hurt more than any explanation could have. I wasn't looking for a perfect excuse. I wanted honesty from the person I had trusted most. Alyssa finally admitted that she should have been honest from the beginning. She said she was afraid of how I would react and chose the easier option, hiding the details. But I told her that avoiding an uncomfortable conversation only creates a bigger problem later. The issue wasn't just where she spent the night. The issue was that she made a decision to protect a secret instead of protecting our marriage. Over the next few days, Alyssa and I had long conversations about what had happened and how we reached that point. She admitted that she and Jake had become too comfortable crossing boundaries that should have never been crossed. She insisted that she didn't plan for things to become complicated, but I reminded her that trust is usually damaged through a series of small choices. One message ignored. One explanation changed. One secret kept. Those moments slowly create distance between two people. I also had to be honest with myself. Our marriage had problems before that night. We had stopped communicating the way we used to, and both of us had allowed frustration to build instead of dealing with it. But problems in a marriage should lead to conversations, not hidden lives. Alyssa understood that rebuilding trust wouldn't happen because of one apology. It would require patience, transparency, and consistent actions over time. Eventually, Jake and I also had a conversation. It was one of the hardest discussions I had ever experienced because betrayal from a stranger hurts differently than betrayal from someone you considered family. Jake apologized and admitted that he had made choices he knew were wrong. He said he should have respected my marriage and our friendship instead of allowing a situation to go as far as it did. I listened, but I realized something important. Apologies don't erase consequences. Whether Alyssa and I could rebuild our relationship was a decision we had to make ourselves. Nobody else could fix what was broken between us. Slowly, I stopped focusing only on what happened that night and started thinking about what kind of future I wanted. I learned that forgiveness and trust are different things. Forgiveness can begin with a conversation, but trust has to be earned again through actions. Looking back, Alyssa's message, "My phone died last night, just saw your messages," was the moment everything changed. My reply about Jake's nightstand wasn't about catching someone or creating drama. It was simply the moment when a contradiction forced us to finally face the truth. The typing bubble appearing and disappearing showed me that something was wrong, but the real lesson went deeper than one phone or one night. A marriage isn't destroyed only by major moments. Sometimes it breaks down through the small choices people make when they believe they can hide things forever. That experience taught me that honesty is not just telling the truth when someone discovers it. Honesty is choosing the truth before you are forced to. The hardest part wasn't learning what happened. The hardest part was accepting that trust had been damaged. But once the truth was finally out, we had a choice. Keep living with secrets or finally start having the conversations we should have had all along.